May I introduce to you my elder, Vaughn Palmer.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for those very encouraging numbers about the level of trust toward journalists. 29, I had no idea it was that good. I usually expect us to finish down around dog thieves, so 29% is like, wow, we're really turning it around in this business. Thanks very much for everyone for bringing me here. I'm going to talk just a little bit about a skeleton rattling around in my closet that I rarely mention, but I have my reasons. Before I started doing BC politics, I was a rock music critic for the Vancouver Sun. Now, in the realm of those who can't do teach, you come to critics, which is those who can't teach write about it. And writing about music, as Frank Zappa once said, is like dancing about sculpture. But I gotta mention this because, you know, every rock critic's dream is performing, and here I am as an opening act for Biff Naked. Like, man, is this... Nobody ever imagined this was going to happen on the rock beat, like you were going to be sharing a platform. So anyway, you can think a little bit about, you know, rock. There was, I can tell you that back in the 80s and 90s, when we were just going through premieres so fast here in British Columbia and stuff was happening, it was a little bit crazy. Nobody ever wondered what it was about writing about rock and roll that qualified you to write about BC politics. We went through one stretch. In the 90s, we had 6 premiers of British Columbia, right? 6 of them. Other premiers in Canada wanted to get in touch with the Premier of British Columbia. They'd just send a letter to the Premier's office marked occupant because they could never remember who it was. And in one 2-year stretch, we had 4 premiers. A guy who writes for the Victoria paper said he'd had goldfish that had survived longer than some of our premiers. I said the Leafs had playoff hopes that lasted longer than some of our premiers. Sorry, guys. But, you know, writing about, but the rock beat did provide its moments here and there that overlapped. I mean, first of all, I always tell people I was a rock music critic during the disco era, which was not exactly the pinnacle of 20th century culture, right? I still have the Ethel Merman disco album, and on the whole, it was better than Rod Stewart's. But we got into a political convention here once. The NDP was looking for a cheap building to rent in Vancouver, and the Mr. Sport Motor Hotel out on Kingsway wasn't available, so they took the old Pacific Coliseum. And we ended up in the Coliseum, and it was a long voting convention, and you know there's a lot of dead time, and you got to fill it. You're live on the radio, and there's a panel, and we're talking about whatever we can do to fill the time while they count the votes. And the other 2 guys on the panel are both jocks, and they go, oh, they talk about great moments for the Canucks in the Coliseum. It's all hockey stories and everything. They're talking about great this and that and the other thing. And I said, gentlemen, I can top that. I was in this building with 16,000 panting fans for the Village People. And they rode the motorcycle onto the stage, and they did YMCA, and they did in the Navy again and again and again and again. It was a fabulous show. Everybody had a great time, and after you've been on the political beat for a while, you begin to wonder if maybe that ends up being your contribution to print journalism in British Columbia, your review of the Village People, because an awful lot of the political people tend to come and go a lot faster. You can only dine out on your rock beat stories for so long. You can probably talk too many times about what it was like to tour with Bruce Allen, that time when Mark Bolan of T-Rex threatened to punch you in the face, and what happened to the after party for the Village People. I don't want to talk about it.